today's episode, we will be talking about funerals. Fun.
Funeral episode.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be a fun one, you guys. We put the fun in funerals.
Oh my god.
And welcome back, guys. To another episode of Grief Uncensored, episode 14. Thank you for sticking with us for this long. I'm Yako.
And I'm Julia.
Let's just
Hop
get
in.
started.
It's essential. We have to talk about it because it is like the only like ritualistic type thing that we do as Americans in American culture. I can't speak for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I know that other countries do things a lot differently than
but
we
they
do.
all have every culture has their own form of a funeral.
Yes. I think, in my opinion, the American ritual for after-death ceremonies is too... what's the word? I don't even know if there's a word.
Is it formal or no?
It's so... No, formal is okay.
Yeah.
You know, but like... And if it's like tradition, it's okay. But I just feel like the whole $1,000 on a funeral thing...
It's very capitalistic.
And then, damn capitalism again.
No, but... I feel that is the same thing in Japan too. Is like you have to pay for an urn, you have to pay for a spot, you have to pay to be buried, you have to pay for the service, you have to pay. It's just money.
Okay, yeah, let's not blame everything on capitalism, but I will say that the fact that you have to shelf out thousands and thousands of dollars just to have your loved one be recognized in a public setting is just like really fucked up.
Yeah.
And sometimes I envy how in other countries they have more like interactive and you are like welcoming them to the spirit world and it's more of like a loving celebration.
Yeah.
And there's parades and there's like rituals and I don't know, all these different types of things that I've looked into. Yeah. And like in American culture, it's kind of just like you go to the nearest funeral home and cremate them or have an open casket, whatever you decide, and then basically just hold a service.
Yeah.
And it's in a dark room with flowers everywhere and like the picture that you had to choose for them to be on the frame. And it is just so miserable horrible. The damn... Oh, it is just... And you know, everyone's culture is different, at least like... And I can say that in America, you know, you can practice whatever you want to, and that also goes into after-death ceremonies. Like, I'm sure, like, other religions, they have different things. Yeah. In my experience, it has just been very mundane, nothing special. Like, reading some Bible verses, like, does not give me any sort of closure.
Yeah. In Japan, it's a very Buddhist type funeral, so there's a monk there. And it's kind of similar, though. Like, it's like a priest reciting Bible verses. It's a monk reciting, like, Buddhist, like, I don't know, like... phrases, I guess. He's like singing and he's like hitting this like drum and we're all just like it's just unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's a very unique experience I had for sure. I mean, not unique, but it's the fact that I live in America.
Yeah, it's unique for
our circumstance. Yeah, in Japan that's completely normal, but for me as an American Japanese person or Japanese American, I just felt like so like whoa. There's a lot of culture shock for sure. Right. Yeah, there were certain things that we did that I never thought that we would do, and when I shared them with my friends, they were like, "What the fuck?" And yeah, it's definitely a lot of that. But I just want to say how the whole experience of a funeral is so uncomfortable and so horrible. First of all, pulling up to the funeral site is the worst drive ever. The absolutely terrible, most dreadful drive. You're like fucking looking out the window. Like
I can't even explain. Like the only way I would be able to explain is if I literally like recreated it in a movie. Yeah. Because... And you need, like, background sorrowful music and like because that is exactly how it feels. Like it is the most dramatic
it's so dramatic
thing because you are like in shock that you're even going to this funeral home right now and you have to physically see this person.
Yeah.
That's something we should talk about. If there's an open casket.
Oh, yeah. So
how
should we
do you
talk
feel
about the wake,
that?
too? The wake before the funeral?
Because I never had a wake. We just... What's a wake?
The wake is when you, like, just go, you see the casket, you like, kneel, you, like, do a little thing. And then the funeral is, like, a full service. There's, like, the Bible verses. There's people giving speeches. There's a lot more people. A wake is more like... It's like it's a room. You can go there, pay your respect, leave. And then the funeral is more of, like, a set time where you have to be there for the full service.
So we did have a wake.
Okay.
I called it a funeral. Apparently that was wrong. It is called a wake.
Yeah.
And... that is the open casket time where everyone kind of just comes in. The time that we did it was still, COVID was still, the rules were still in practice. So we could have a very limited amount of people. Not everyone could just go see her in the casket.
Yeah.
Only immediate family. Traumatizing through and through. From the moment I awoke the day I awoke. Is that the word? From the moment I awoke, the day was traumatizing.
Yeah.
You wake up knowing that this is the day of the wake and the funeral. You know that this is the day where you have to go physically see the dead body of the person that you haven't even accepted as dead yet.
Yeah.
And you have to fucking get ready. You have to get dressed. Like in one episode we joked about, I'm going to wear this to my mom's funeral.
Yeah.
Because... like
you have to go
the
funeral
fact
shopping.
that you have to pick a dress out or an outfit out for your parents' funeral, like at an age where you aren't even fathoming that would happen is I don't think I can describe with words how that feels. Other than the words that are coming to me are dread and
Just dread. Just absolute dread.
Shock and
dread. Yeah, a lot of shock and dissociation is what pulled me through the funeral and the wake. It's because I was...
But that's what made it traumatizing, is that you were fucking dissociated. Yeah. You're not even, like, fucking, there mentally.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So, the wake for me, or I don't know if it was a wake, I don't really know. Basically, what it was is I land, right? My mom tells me my dad died. We drive 2 hours instantly. The first thing we do when I land is drive to a funeral home to see my dad in his open casket. He's like in this room, and I guess it's kind of like a wake. I don't really know. Whatever. Who cares? Basically, he's there in this room. There's a lot of stuff around him that's like his photos, blah, blah, blah. He's laying there. That's the first time I had to be faced with him being in that casket, and that was literally 2 hours after I found out that he passed, and I was like already on my way to go see him, and it was that oh my God, the devastation.
Horrible does not describe.
Yeah, there's nothing I can say to describe how I really wish I wasn't me, like living that moment. Exactly. I really wish I was anybody else. Yep. Not having to go... Exactly. I wish I could have been doing anything else. Not fucking having to go see my dad in a casket, dude. That's just not something I ever would wish anything on anyone. It's just horrible. The worst feeling in the world.
Seeing them in the casket is just shocking. Like
so shocking.
The visual of a dead body. Don't really know if I can describe for anyone who's not seen it. And it just makes it worse that it's this person that you love and you cherish and you wanted more time with. And, like, it is so brutal to have to face that. Like, face to face with reality. Like, it's almost cruel. Yeah. Like, you have to face the dead body. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just crazy to me. And I sat in the car crying. Everyone got out, and I'm watching from the back seat, like, through my tears of everyone, like, hugging. I'm so shocked to even see my family there, because I don't really see my mom's side of the family that often, but all her siblings were there, and I don't see them that often, so it was crazy to see them, and then it was even crazier to see them. Well, it wasn't crazy to see them. It was crazy to see them in the circumstance.
Yeah.
Because again, this was only a couple days after I even found out, so it was just like, it's more of, I can't believe this is happening, this is not happening, this is not happening.
That's literally how it feels. And me too, like, I haven't been in Japan in almost 4 years, so now I'm at the funeral home of when the funeral service was happening and people were coming in. I'm like, I haven't seen any of these people since I was, like, so much younger. Right. I met my dad's brother for the first time in my whole life. Like, it's just shocking. It's like, crazy. Why under these circumstances?
Right.
You know? It was really weird. Yeah. It was like, oh, you're my dad's brother.
They're just so awkward. Like, you have to hug everyone. And like, for me as the daughter of the deceased, like, I, along with my sister and my dad, like, the attention is on us.
Yep.
The attention's not on really anyone else.
No, everybody's looking at you.
Everyone's looking at me, and I'm like, everyone's silent, sitting in the room, and I'm like, crying so hard. Everything around me is blurry. I mean, this kind of thing is like why I wanted to talk about the funeral, and the funeral has to be an episode because it's just these huge traumatic days.
It's so traumatic. In the Japanese funeral, I don't know why, but we were in front, like, we were placed in front of everybody so they could, like, see us. And it's like, they could just see me bawling, grabbing my sister's hand for my damn life. Like, it was like, I don't know, it was horrible. Mm-hmm. And then everybody take turns, like, lighting up an incense, like, bowing and praying in front of my dad. You know, when I was there, everybody's, like, seeing me do it. I don't know, it's just such a weird thing to feel like everybody's watching you to see how you're reacting to this. And honestly, like, if you're breaking down, everyone's like, oh my god, this is so sad. I
couldn't even control not breaking down. Like, my dad had to literally, like, talk me out of the car. Like, my sister got out, everyone got out, and I was, like, in there still for 5 minutes watching everyone, like, whatever, talk in the parking lot, and I'm just, I could not get out. I really could not get out. Getting out would literally be putting myself right into just the fucking cave of dread and, like, emotion that is just so overwhelming. I had to step out of the car.
Yeah.
I had to. I didn't want to.
No.
Let me tell you, I didn't even know if I wanted to physically see her like that. And what really can you say? Like, I had to, and it was a decision. I texted a couple people who also lost their parent, and I was like, what do I do? Like, did you see the body? Like, should I? Like, was it traumatizing? Do you regret it? Did you wish you did it? I was probably even Googled it because I'm like, what do? I really don't know because I don't want to see my mom like that. That's going to be traumatizing, but, like, maybe I do need to, like I just said a couple minutes ago, face the reality.
Face the reality, and then also get, not closure, but, like, I guess face the reality and, like, literally.
Face it physically. So, obviously, I did choose.
In a sense, they want you to accept it by seeing the dead body. Like, accept it in the sense that, like, you see that they're in this casket, you know?
You can't deny it.
Yeah, you can't deny the fact that they're dead because they're in this damn casket.
Denying it. I guess that I don't...
This is a very morbid episode, you guys.
Fucking...
Yeah. But also, seeing my dad in the casket, I almost didn't even recognize him. He was so fucking skinny. I mean, he had cancer and he was deteriorating. And by the time I saw him, he was so skinny. And he had this makeup on him that was like, I was like, what? Like, I couldn't, it almost made me want to laugh because I didn't recognize who was in this casket at all. It is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know, it was so weird. And then my mom was like, you should touch him. I definitely talked about this before, and I was like, I don't want to, that is so scary. Ultimately, though, I did end up, like, touching his head. And it feels cold, and it's not fun, dude.
I'm really getting brought back.
Yeah. It's like, we've really brought ourselves so far away from this. Day because it's really a traumatic day.
Let me reiterate that we have from this day that we're describing, I have tried to forget it every single day since. That is not something, and we're laughing and giggling now.
Yeah, because...
But like, it's kind of coming from a place of like...
trauma.
Yeah, absolute like dissociative, like traumatic state. Because at the end of the day, I tried to get rid of every single thought or memory I've ever had of that day. And like I said, as you can see, they have not gone anywhere. I can remember it like it was yesterday, if I choose to pull up the emotions like we're doing right now.
Right.
And I remember every second of it. And I remember exactly how it felt. And I'm glad that I'm able to talk about it openly because I don't like keeping things in. But, you know, that was something like that I had to experience very in a lonely way because, you know, there wasn't someone like holding my hand the whole time. And like, I'm lucky that I had my sister and my dad to be there, you know, and do this with us. Yeah. With each other. My dad is really able to keep his composure. Yeah. And he is very, like, special like that because I don't know how, but he was, like, making a speech at the wake. Like, I'm sure after he was like, I don't even fucking remember what I said because who knows? Like, again, it is a level of dissociation because that's how you have to get through things. Mm-hmm. Traumatic things like that. But, like, I remember, like, sitting there with my sister, looking at my mom, and listening to my dad give a speech in the other room. And, I mean, it's almost like it's never happened, like it's not real. Yeah. And in that moment, it wasn't real. Mm-hmm. But I'll circle back to what we were saying before. Like, when you're looking at this person and facing the reality, and you can't deny it any longer. Yeah. And I ended up being... I would say that I'm glad that I did it. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't. Yeah, there's no way. How would I know if I would have felt regret? I don't know, but it gave a first level to closure. Mm-hmm. Also, even though I never got closure. Yeah. It does give a small little tidbit of closure. It does. A little, just a closure smidge. In the fact that, I mean, like, you're still denying it for a while after, even though you saw the body yourself. But, I mean, again, it's just cruel to have to put yourself through that. Mm-hmm. And then I was also going to talk about at the funeral, like, you have to... Oh, you mentioned, like, how they put makeup. Mm-hmm. And how you didn't recognize him. Yeah. And that was, like, the same thing. Like, it was just they didn't do a lot of makeup on her. Like, I remember asking the lady before, like, oh, are you guys going to do makeup on her? Again, a question and a scenario I never thought I would ever be in. Yeah. You know, and I got thrown in it in a matter of a couple days, asking the lady if they're going to put makeup on my dead mom. She said that they're going to do it very naturally, and they did, so much so where you could, like, see, like, bruises on her face, and she was just very white. And you're looking at a dead body, okay? They don't make it look like a Barbie or anything. I mean, I kind of wish they put a little bit more, like, maybe some lipstick or something, because I was literally like, this looks like a dead person. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm like laughing because it's so fucking terrible. It's so bad. I don't know. By the time I saw my dad, it had been like 2 days or something, so he was a little bit like, by the third day, he was looking very dead. Oh yeah. He was looking bad. And then you mentioned how he was cold. Like, yeah, that body straight from the freezer. Oh my god, and I just remembered something. He's laying on ice. They put her not even in a cute shirt. Like, they didn't, like, I don't know if they asked us, but, like, they didn't, like, we could have provided a shirt for her, like, her favorite shirt. They literally put her in a t-shirt with the funeral logo on it. I remember, like, what shirt is this bitch wearing? I was, like, fucking looking at it. I'm like, what? Is this the funeral? It literally said, like, Crossroads Funeral or something. I was like, what are you giving us? Giving yourself free promo? I'm like, I don't know. It was giving yourself a free advertisement right now. Like, this weird.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandpa picked out my dad's funeral clothes, but he was wearing the weirdest shoes. He was wearing the shoes were just
you could see his whole body?
Yeah.
Oh, I could only see like shoulders up. Everything else was under a blanket.
I know I saw his shoes. I don't know if I could see the whole thing. I saw his white. He was wearing a white shirt. He was wearing jeans and shoes. And then I think they put like for the funeral they put like him under a blanket. But for the the wake, he was there. He was just fully there.
Oh my god, guys!
Laying in
this
casket.
Is crazy.
It was so devastating. So fucking sad. I'm so sad. So sad. Then the next day, after the first day where I came back from Japan and did that, the second day my sister lands and we do it again. And we're doing it again. And it's just now her moment of facing reality, if you will. And terrible. Then a few days go by and then it's the funeral. The whole in between was like dissociation, just like going funeral shopping, like going to the mall to pick out a dress, blah, blah, blah. But I was going to say, in Japan, they make you go through so much, like the funeral process, the cremation, like what they make you do. Mm-hmm. I guess not the funeral. The funeral is just like pretty much any other funeral, but the cremation process, they make you do a lot of not weird, but
hands-on.
It's a hands-on experience,
mm-hmm.
All right, with the cremation. And I was like, why do they make you do that? And it's like, I think my grandma said to me, like, they make you do something so hard for them. It's like your one last, like, act of service for this person mm-hmm, that you love. Nice. And you're, like, putting yourself through, like, hell for the person, mm-hmm. you know? And let me just go into a little bit of what they make you do. And I'm laughing because it's so fucking traumatizing, okay, guys? So basically, after the funeral, it's a normal funeral service, except it's Buddhist, so there's a monk, and you're lighting incense and you're praying in different ways. But overall, it's kind of the same. My grandpa gave a speech, and that was, like, pretty much as far as speeches go. And they played a little montage movie for him, and that was devastating. Anyway, outside of the funeral, after is the cremation. We all drive from the funeral, not all of us, just the immediate family now. We drive to the cremation site. We go there, we get out of the car, we're like at this like cremation site. It's all like stone and cold. The whole building is like sad, whatever. I don't really remember. I think there was another like monk ceremony before, and after that we walk into now only like immediate family, like 5 of us are walking into this big ass room, stone room, where there's like 3 like human ovens where they're like where people are getting cremated, and next to the cremation like little like elevator type things are the picture of the person being cremated. On both sides they were fully like 80-year-old women and grandpas, like just grandpas both sides. And then my dad was in the middle, looking young as fuck and half their age. And this is a moment where the devastation hit, because I'm like fucking wheeling him into this oven. The doors close. And at that point, that's when it hit me. The reality is that I will never see his body in the way that I remember ever again. Like, he's gonna be fucking ash. He's gonna be bones at this point.
It's just so crazy that you, like, watched this happen.
Well, the casket was closed at this point.
Okay.
But still, we're, like, watching him go in there. The doors are closing, and I'm just, like, appalled.
And this is a part of the ritual. This is just, like, something you had to stand in the window to watch.
This is a part of the ritual. Like, at this point, only intimate family sees this. But it is that was the worst part for me, because I couldn't let go.
How can you not be dissociated through this whole thing? Like, who sits there and is like, yep, like, how do you just not dissociate?
Yeah, no, I was not dissociated. I mean, I think I was a little dissociated, but I was fully bawling in my sister's arms, like. And you know what's funny? You were like, I didn't have anyone's hands to hold. Me and my sister were holding hands throughout the whole time. Like, we were holding hands for, like, almost like we were holding on to each other's lives. Like so tightly, we were, like, squeezing onto each other's hands. And that is the only way I would have made it through. And during the cremation, all right, they make you go into a lunchroom where they serve lunch. And we're waiting for the body to be cremated. It takes about an hour. So that's perfect enough time to eat a little lunch at the cremation. They give you a really good lunch. And it's like, why is this such a good lunch?
Wow, I would not have an appetite.
I know, it's
I didn't eat for like 2 weeks, I swear, after that.
Yeah, it's because they want you to have like a good meal with the people
Nourishment.
Nourishment, and then it's like you're eating in their honor, and then you're eating
I
with
like
their
the
family.
idea of it.
Yeah, it's like a shiva, a Jewish shiva, I think it's called. That's where you eat with your family, and it's like kind of like something like that for a funeral. And then, so we eat our meal, we come out, and then he gets rolled out. And at this point now, I'm seeing fucking bone and ash. Lots of big chunks. It's not like he's like powder. He's like actual, like, some pieces of bone are like this big, you know?
Could you like put the body together with the
It was
bone?
fully laid out in the shape of a body. Like,
That's insane.
It was like Indiana Jones just extracted like
That's
a
what it
human
sounds
skeleton with ash. And he's like, and the guy's like, okay guys, here's his head, this is his arms, this is his legs. And I'm like, I'm dissociated at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, how can you
after
not
that lunch,
dissociate?
like, how could I not dissociate throughout that? And then after that, when you put the body in the urn, they have two people use chopsticks. You have your own set of chopsticks. You pick up a piece of bone with that one other person. You have to be with one other person, or else they believe that the soul can get sucked into your body. So by being with one other person, they confuse the soul, and you're like, oh, I don't know where to go, so they don't enter your soul. So you pick it up and you put it in the urn. Everybody has a turn to do that, which is the most hands-on experience. I'm like, what? This is crazy, you know? I've never used chopsticks in that way before in my life. And that was just the craziest experience. And one of his friends actually was like, here, take this piece of bone, puts it in my hand, closes my hand, the bone crushes in my hand. And I'm just standing there like, what the fuck do I do with this? Like, it was so unhinged, so horrendous. And then I'm just like, I'm just gonna put it back. Like, what? Literally, what?
Dude.
I'm completely dissociated throughout this whole time. And I even, like, it sounds terrible to say out loud, and it was really just as terrible.
My head is, like, spinning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, like... It's like, from a story perspective, you just told a really crazy story, like, but from a reality perspective...
Yeah.
It is so... It's just sad because I know, like, that was just the worst moment.
It's goddamn brutal. And I'm like, why do Japanese funeral processes have to be so hardcore in that way? Like,
it is hardcore.
They're literally...
That is hardcore.
Like, what the fuck is this? I'm just imagining, like, my 6-year-old cousin doing that for her grandpa. Like, kids do this shit in Japan. And it's because, like I said earlier, like, it's like your one last act of service for this person you love. And so they make you go through hell also for you to start your process of acceptance, because you have to go through all that and realize that they're really
I don't even know if that makes fucking sense.
I know.
It's already bad and you gotta make it worse, and then you can start to...
I know, it's just...
You know?
They make it really hard.
Like,
though.
I was saying in the beginning of the episode, like, in my experience, like, with, like, a Christian or a Catholic, like, there's less hands-on rituals. And with that, like, they took it
to the extreme. Yeah.
You know?
And I know this sounds really crazy,
Yeah.
Especially from, like, an American point of view. And to the people listening, they're probably, like...
Shocked.
Literally shocked.
I'm glad
appalled.
everyone gets to hear this. This is a cultural learning experience.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of different cultural norms, and that's just how...
Yeah.
That's just one of them, you know? And that's... Yeah.
Yeah.
And to experience it was... I was shocked, guys. I was just as shocked as you guys right now. And it was brutal. It really was. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. My uncle... I think I told you that my uncle ate a piece of his bone.
You never told me that.
My uncle had a little...
Why?
There was a bone on his finger. He was like, what do I do? He just put it in his mouth and ate it.
Was he trying to be funny?
No, I think so, but also just like he wanted to eat him to have a piece of him in him.
Is that like allowed?
No, that I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want with that, but like it's not normal. No.
That's crazy that he did that.
Yeah. So my dad's brother, yeah.
I mean, it's his brother, dude.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
It's just, isn't that just crazy though? Yeah, but I might cut that part out.
Yeah. Wow, that is insane. Interesting. That's really interesting. I mean.
Yeah. But you had to give a eulogy.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I was gonna talk about. It's just an interesting. It's just an interesting experience overall.
Mm-hmm.
I guess everyone attends a funeral of some sort. You know, at least a couple times in their life.
Yeah.
This specific one for me was extremely traumatic because it was just too soon, too sudden, and there's no time to really mentally prepare for the wake. And that's why the wake was so traumatizing for me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it had to be rushed. You know, most of the time when someone dies, the wake is less than a week or less. That is the time frame, you know. You want to celebrate the life and then be done, or have the wake and be done. So that's what happened. It was under, I think, 4 days maybe. And again, there's no time to prepare. I barely had like 1 day to really think about if I even wanted to go. Mm-hmm. And I knew at the end of the day that it wasn't a choice, of course, that I was going to attend. But a huge part of me didn't want to, and didn't even want to didn't want to be alive at that point. Did not want to be me. I did not want to be Julia at that point. So I just had a lot of apprehensive feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially, again, seeing it physically, like I just didn't know if that's something I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But we ended up having a celebration of life much, much later, like months later, like 6 months later, 7 months later. And that, to me, is a good memory. That's when I gave the eulogy. Mm-hmm. And if I were to talk all about that experience, I don't think it would be traumatizing. Like, bringing all that stuff up, you know, of course I did cry, and it was really hard to sit there, but like I had my best friends of my whole life there, joking with me and passing me tissues. I was able to have everyone who was in my immediate support system was there. Yeah. And it was comforting to see all my mom's friends. And we had a celebration, you know, like we were drinking after. And also, you know, significant time had passed to where I was more able to not be dissociated during it. And I can say for sure that I wasn't dissociated during it. I was definitely irritable, though. Like, I wanted things to go a certain way. I wanted people to act a certain way. I still had, like, feelings of anger and resentment towards people there. And, you know, it was still a stressful time. Yeah. And it was still really difficult. But it wasn't even close to the wake. Yeah. But the celebration of life and giving the eulogy, me and my sister said our eulogy together, and we wrote it literally the day before, the night before, because we were just putting it off. Like, we had in the back of our heads some things we wanted to say, but it never truly was able to get on paper until the night before because, again, avoiding the cruel task of having to write your own mom's eulogy, you know, at 20 years old.
Yeah. The funeral and the wake are very traumatizing, for sure. And something like that, the celebration of life is is meant to be more of like a positive thing where you're highlighting all the good. And that is like part of the funeral too. But a lot of the funeral is like very traumatizing, like you said, because it's right after. You don't have time to process. You're not ready mentally, but you have no choice because you... Right. Yeah.
I want to get into a little bit more about how awkward it is. Because I feel like I skimmed over that part of how awkward those wakes and funerals are. Like, yeah, it's awkward because you're the one loudly crying and all the attention's on you because you're the daughter and whoever, your relationship. The spotlight's literally on you. Yeah. Already. And then it's just awkward. Like, people are hugging you and it's fucking awkward. The hug is awkward. Yeah. When they say, I'm so sorry, it's
you don't
awkward.
know, what do you say back? You say...
You just keep... And then, and then it just gets weirder and weirder. Yeah. People say weird things. Some people would be like, just trying to make small talk. I had people trying to make small talk, and I'm like...
You're like, shut up. I don't want to talk about anything else.
The small talk... Again, this all adds to this level of, like, what the fuckness. Mm-hmm. And it's awkward as shit, okay? And... It was a little bit awkward to be at the celebration of life, even though it was more of like a positive thing. You still have to go around and say hi to everyone. At a certain point, like, you are making small talk. People are coming up to me a lot. It is very emotionally draining.
It is. All these things.
And it's just, I don't know, like, I just keep saying, like, it is awkward. Yeah. Like, all of these people are here because they knew her, but they also, like, feel so sorry for you. Like, this is such a unique experience because, and not unique as in, like, I'm the only one to experience it. No, it's unique in the sense that you are only going to have this experience a couple times in your life, and this is the experience. That you're in a room full of 50 or more people, and every single person feels bad for you. Is feeling bad for you in that moment. Like, that's actually has pity for you. And is thinking about how fucked up your life is right now. And that adds to the level of awkwardness.
That's so true.
I mean, there was like 200 or more people at this celebration of life. And, like, just thinking about how everyone was there to support me, my sister, and my dad is just crazy. And so I did want to, like, talk to people and hear some stories, and I did get that. But when you're brought back to the reality of, like, the life that you have to live now without that person, it doesn't, like, make it any better. It definitely is like, okay, like, I'm glad that I get to hear these stories and be with all of my mom's friends and everyone who made the effort to come and, make their way to this, because we had it in Chicago, and there was a lot, we obviously lived in several different places, so people had to come from different areas, and it was crazy to see this timeline of, like, all these people from my childhood up until I left for college, like, all these people that I knew from different parts of where we lived. Yeah. Everyone kind of congregated together for this one reason. And the reason is that it's a bad and it's a bad reason. So that's exactly what it is. Like, it was a positive celebration, but also, like, at the end of the day, the reason why it's all happening. Under what circumstance, it brings you back down. Yeah,
and I kind of want to go into the awkwardness in the sense that, like, I didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, the Japanese funeral process, I didn't know about. So when people are like, you have to bow at this time, I'm like, so me and my sister are both, like, awkwardly, like, they're like, you have to bow. And I'm like, that reminds me. And I'm, like, bowing. They're like, light the incense. I'm like I didn't know how to do these things, so it was so awkward. And, like, that's true. There were certain places where they were like, you're walking the wrong way. I'm like, and, like, I didn't know. Like, there's no rehearsal for these things.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, like, the fact that there's no rehearsal kind of fucks me up because, like, similarly to what you were saying, I didn't know what to do because, like, and they were reading, like, these scriptures, and then you have to, like, respond. Yeah. And everyone was responding, and I ended up choosing just not to respond at all because I didn't feel like faking it because I had no idea what was going on. Yeah. And I was, like, trying to read it, and, like, I don't know. It was, again, like, everyone apparently knows when to respond, this Catholic response. Yeah. But I'm sitting here in this Catholic church Like,
You're like,
I've never
what?
set foot in a Catholic church, so I'm like, I don't really know what's going on here.
Yeah, and also my dad's funeral, not the cremation, the funeral, actual funeral, I made him ramen. Very weird. But it was his last. His last meal, and they were like, "Who wants to make his last meal?" And like everyone was like, "Yako should do it." And like I got volunteered to make his ramen, and so I'm like making ramen in the middle after like this funeral. Like I guess
What
is
ramen?
an intermission. It was this
Like
vinegar.
a packet, or
it's like this very famous ramen that's popular in this small town we're from. It's like a vinegar broth ramen. Sounds gross, but it's really good.
No, that sounds great.
It's a delicacy in this small town called Hiratsuka. But that's what I made him. It's like this vinegar broth ramen that he loved, apparently, which I've never seen him eat in my life, but apparently he loved it. So I made it for him, and everybody's like recording me.
Oh my god, recording you?
It was so awkward. Yeah, so that's what I mean by it was awkward. And also like seeing people I haven't seen in forever, they're like trying to like make small talk like you said. I don't know, just all of it is so uncomfortable.
I think, it's just uncomfortable through and through.
Yeah.
You know, people are like trying to take our minds off of it, quote unquote, take our minds off it, impossible, but then they'll start talking about something else, and then immediately when someone's talking about something else, I'm like,
you're like,
shut
what
the fuck
yeah,
up. Like,
why are you fucking talking about this?
Yeah. Any type of conversation that was not about like my mom.
Yeah, you're like, just don't talk to me.
Yeah, I was like, no, like
I don't care.
This is not the time.
Yeah.
Because to me, that felt like people were like trying to ignore it or avoid it, and maybe they were, but also maybe they were just trying to talk about something else for 1 second.
Yeah.
You know, for me, that was not something I wanted to do, though.
Yeah, maybe they felt like you needed to get your mind off of it, but like again, like. Just don't assume what the person needs. Ask them what they need. And also it's just so
ask them what they need exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And literally, what else is there to say about this?
I don't know. I feel like I wonder if this is even like helpful to listen to. Like I feel like we just kind of talk.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, this one is not helpful at all. Okay, maybe a little advice for funerals. Honestly. What I can say, or what you can take away from what we just said for like about half an hour is that it is a fucking terrible day. So just let it be a bad day. It's gonna be a tough one regardless. I mean, sometimes it's manageable, but overall, it's a fucking horrible experience pulling up to a funeral. So, if you're listening to this to try to get what to expect, I mean... Every experience is different, you know, but it is hard. It is really hard. And it's kind of traumatizing. And
it's a part of the journey, though.
It's part of the journey.
The death already happened, so like
the worst part,
you can't really avoid the funeral.
Yeah, and also the worst part is that they're dead, and that has already happened. So you can handle it.
Yeah, I would also say do whatever the fuck you need to do and say whatever you need to say. Like, don't let other people, like maybe whether it's your other family members or maybe other people trying to give their input on how the funeral should go or, you know, there's only one funeral.
Or how you should act or what you should be doing.
Exactly. Everything. I mean, just do everything on your own terms.
Yeah, set boundaries for yourself with other people and with yourself, what you're willing to do, set the limits, you know?
Of course, that's very difficult, but in the end, you know, this is something that you deserve. You deserve to be at a wake or a funeral or a celebration of life. That is up to your liking.
Yeah. Also, I want to say, because of the fact that I was associating at my dad's funeral, there were moments where I was laughing at the funeral. And that might sound really unhinged and weird, but then I remembered if my dad were here, like, that's what he would have wanted, is, like, for us to find little laughs and, like, little moments of, like, this is funny.
Yeah.
Even though we're literally at my dad's funeral, you know? And that's what you have to remember is, like, it's okay, even though it's, like, totally not the right setting, it's okay. Like, you know, everybody processes it differently. If something is making you laugh and you are, like, maybe you shouldn't do it in front of everybody, but also at the same time, like, I think that person would want to have that relief. Like, they don't want you to be sad all the time. Like, they would want it to be, like, exactly like how it is, natural. You know, whatever feels natural, whatever comes natural to you is how it's meant to be.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for sitting with us. This one was definitely a little chaotic.
If you listen to this all the way through, honestly, good for you. You guys are our fans. Because I don't know really what the purpose after filming, but... it's out there.
Did I need to go into...
It's a story. Whatever. It's a fun story, I guess. It's so fun.
Fun and funeral.
We did put the F-U-N in funeral today, that's for sure. With some giggles. Unrooting all my funeral trauma.
Yeah, unpacking all my...
You're welcome for everyone who
Japanese
wanted
funeral
to know.
trauma. I know you guys really were trying to know what that was like, so there you go, guys.
This is crazy. Everyone who listens to the podcast, some intimate-ass details about my life. It's actually a little scary to know that.
It really is. But thank you guys for listening. If you're still here, make sure you like us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group if you're interested. We have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. We have all the socials. So please go follow us and support us everywhere you can. If you want to support us, then that's how you can do it. I don't know. I'm gonna cut that out.
Subscribe on YouTube, and we also have a feature your loved one.
Yes.
Where you can feature your loved one with a photo and a little story and caption on our Instagram every single week. And we also have a Facebook group just for grieving people in their 20s.
Yes.
So please go follow us and go join. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.